Okay, well, we'll get started here. For people that arrive late, they can always watch the beginning via recording that we'll send out afterwards. So, again, welcome to our Inventory Management 101 seminar. My name is Geoff Ellis. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Wherefour. And the purpose of this is to walk through some of the basics of inventory management, why it's important, and what an ERP can do for you to properly manage your inventory if you're using a variety of systems, spreadsheets, paper, or even you're in a system that you're not happy with right now. So without further ado, we'll try to get you in and out of here really quickly. The purpose of this series is to offer information in quick format, 10 to 15 minutes. And then if you have more questions after, you can certainly reach out. So why does inventory matter? Inventory matters because it's expensive. Bad inventory management can lead to a variety of things in both directions. Stockouts, where you're running out of inventory in either the raw material or finished goods side. The result of that is you may miss sales, you may delay revenue, which delays cash flow. You may have dissatisfied customers. An overstock situation in the opposite direction, where you have plenty of inventory, you can fill all your orders, no problem, but you have a lot of money tied up in that. So you invest a lot of money in your products and making them. You get orders in from customers, you ship those orders out. Obviously, it takes a while for them to pay you. In the meantime, you have all this money tied up in cash that you could use for, or all this cash tied up in inventory that you could be investing back in the business with efficiencies, buying new equipment, and so forth. Um, and then last thing is just a cash drain. Bad inventory management leads to a cash drain. You have things, potentially inventory that spoils, goes obsolete, all of that stuff. And so basically, a lot of different negative effects of poor inventory management. If you do it well, you'll have a lot of cash on hand. You're using it efficiently, and you can invest in other areas of the business that allow you to move forward with technology and things like that. Employees to do jobs, new salespeople, a lot of different things that can really grow the business. You can capture all the orders, again, which will not only bring in cash, but keep your customers happy and make sure you don't miss orders. A lot of times in this day and age, if somebody comes to you to order something, you don't have it, they just go somewhere else. There's a lot of places that people can order stuff. And again, reducing waste or obsolete inventory. If you're managing inventory well, you're not going to have products that expire, that spoil, that aren't in favor anymore, and so forth. So, moving on to the next thing, how does an ERP help you? So we're going to have a poll here in a little bit, but basically you can manage inventory in a number of different ways. When you're a small company, you look on the shelf and see what you have. You have some idea of the orders that might come in based on a forecast, and somebody might be buying things. They go out and see if you have the inventory for the week, and they might order it. So there's a very manual process where you're just kind of eyeballing and winging it. Next step would be some sort of Excel or spreadsheet based process where you're entering inventory when it arrives, manually deducting it when you use it to make something, again, manually deducting it when an order comes in and you fulfill that order. So it's basically manual data entry. Um, that can lead to keying areas, one keystroke where you put an extra zero or leave a zero off, completely changes inventory. You get busy. The person who knows how to use the spreadsheets out of town, that gets out of whack. So a variety of manual tracking that you can do. An ERP takes all that away basically and automates everything. So when you buy something from a vendor, it goes into inventory. When you use it to make something, it turns into a finished good, automatically reducing the raw materials. When you ship it out to a customer, it's going to bring the raw materials down automatically. So just by executing your business tasks in an ERP, it's going to automatically manage your inventory for you. If you are subject to any compliance or traceability requirements, it will, if it's a good system, will take care of that lot tracking. Automated product costing. So another thing that we hadn't mentioned yet, when you make products, a lot of times it's really hard to know what they cost. In a good ERP, you're going to be able to get that automatically calculated for you. Real-time inventory at all times. So you're not relying on someone to adjust a spreadsheet or walk out into the warehouse and see what's on the shelves. You can just look in your system and see what you have in inventory right now. Um, And then what I call variable management, which is bringing all these things together, forecast, lead times from your vendors. Some stuff you might get tomorrow, other stuff might take 2 weeks to come in. You've got a production schedule of things you want to make this week. Do you have the items on hand to be able to make those? And then also importantly, order volume from your customers or a forecast that's feeding in. It's going to have all your orders in the system as well. So um, we're going to launch a quick couple of questions in a poll right now, if you wouldn't mind answering those. Just basically a couple of questions which you'll see pop up, which is basically how are you currently managing your inventory, just so we can get a sense of how to run the rest of the webinar and what's your biggest inventory challenge right now. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of hop into um, Wherefour here and go through a quick showcase of what an inventory management system can do for you. And there's kind of two levels of inventory management systems. There's a basic inventory management, which is managing inventory. And then there's an ERP, which again ties all of the things together from forecasts to purchases to long range planning, where you're looking at an extended time horizon of your inventory flows on raw material and the finished goods side. So one of the things that I mentioned that an inventory system gives you is real-time view of inventory. If I go into, in this example, our inventory module in Wherefour, I know exactly what's on hand at any given time. And you're going to know this for raw materials. There's kind of three types of inventory, and the way we look at it, there's raw materials. There are work in process items. Most companies have a multi-step process where you make something, that thing you make turns into something else, and then ultimately into your finished goods. You want to track that the whole way along so you know what inventory you have at each level of that. And then, of course, your finished goods that you sell to customers. So one example of this, if I want to just see what do I have, let's say packaging. So you can organize things. What do I have on hand in packaging right now? If I'm placing an order, for example, can very quickly scroll down here and you can see here are all my packaging items. What do I have on hand right now? I've got my reorder points, and then um, the system is signaling these items are below the reorder points. So we want to look at those, or probably items that we want to place an order for right now. So um, in ERP, just by giving you visibility of inventory right now, can give you insight into what do I need to make, what do I need to buy, and all that sort of thing. Um, However, inventory, just knowing the levels doesn't mean anything without, like, if I look at these cookie sleeves, I have 200,000 of these things. That might be great, but what if I'm making 500,000 cookies a day and I need a sleeve for each one? That means I'm going to run out today. So just a snapshot of inventory alone doesn't tell you anything unless you have the other pieces of that that are tied into an ERP. So for example, um, if I go into a reporting area and I want to look at a fulfillment report, which in Wherefour is basically what orders do I have in-house right now, and what are my current inventory levels against those. So for example, if I look at these chocolate bars in the system, I have 3 orders from 3 different customers that total up to 7,800 units. And this is that stock out that I talked about in the intro. Basically, I have 5,300 of these in stock, which means I need to make 1,600 more of these before I'm going to be able to fill the orders. And lo and behold, if I look over here, it's telling me I've got cash sitting there waiting for me once I ship these orders out to my customers that I need to get to bring in house. So very easy to understand example of, if I don't have the product on hand, best case scenario, it goes on to back order and I ship it out later on. Worst case scenario, maybe the 7,800, hey, maybe this customer decides, hey, I'm going to get these somewhere else, and there's $5,000 out the window. So again, an inventory snapshot in and of itself doesn't mean anything until you tie the other pieces of an inventory management system together. One other thing that a good system will do is present that data in a very easy to understand format and bring it up when you want it. So one of the things that we have is a dashboard. So if I'm a purchasing agent and I want to see inventory that I might need to reorder without having to run a report or go to the inventory area or look at my alerts. Right on my dashboard here, I can see that if you remember the packaging areas, it's showing us inventory levels of different packaging items. What I need to order here, again, we're color coding this inventory, and Wherefour it can also automatically queue up the purchase order if I want it to my preferred vendor for that item. So there's some of those automations, like in a manual world, I might go out on my shelf and look, and then I see that I'm low on something. Again, I might need to compare it to what I'm going to make over the next week. All of that information's in our system, and so we know we need to reorder this. Why not automatically queue up a purchase order into the vendors area here that I can send off to my vendor very easily? So um, that's another kind of area where having an ERP that ties all the data together makes your life a lot easier. Um, Another area that I want to kind of pop into that's going to show us really quickly here some of the things I talked about. So um, inventory management is hard. So if I look at, I'm in the production system, I'm going to look at a process where I'm making, in this example, cases of chocolate bars. Well, in order to do that, I have to do a number of different things in the system. I have to make bulk chocolate. I have to mold it into chocolate bars. I have to wrap it up, and then I have to package it. I've got ingredients here. I've got some packaging here. I've got packaging here. So during every step in this process, I'm both deducting inventory on the raw material side, and I'm creating new inventory of what I'm making at each step in the process. If you have a manual system, you're going to have to go in and do that at each stage. Well, in an ERP that's functioning well, when I go in here, I can look at, oh, hey, when I do this packaging step, it's deducting paper sleeves and foil wrapping, 134 each of those because I'm making 134 chocolate bars. And it's also taking those unwrapped chocolate bars that I made when I molded them and combining all of those things. And then I now have an inventory of 134 of these chocolate bars. The other thing that you'll notice here that's automatically happening in the background as I'm consuming inventory and creating inventory is that I'm getting costing. So basically, when I do this step here of making bulk chocolate, I'm combining milk and cocoa beans in quantities and costs, and it's calculating for me each pound of bulk chocolate that I'm making is $2.35. Well, it's going through every step in the process. So in the end, when I'm creating the cases of chocolate bars, which is my final product, I'm making 10 cases. It's automatically calculating that my cost on those is $8 a unit. So I know that I need to sell it for obviously some amount over that in order to make a profit. So again, it's doing several things when we're managing inventory. It's doing the traceability, it's doing all the costing, and then most importantly, the inventory management in the system as well. So um, it can be a very complicated process. And kind of the last thing I want to talk about is planning. So if I, again, a snapshot of inventory in and of itself, I can't stress that enough, doesn't tell you much unless you know what you have on the horizon in some sort of a planning format. So on a very simple level, let's say I want to look at those cases of chocolate bars, and let's say um, I'm going to get an order in, or somebody calls me, hey, Geoff, I want to order 10,000 of these cases. When can I get them? Well, you can pop that into our system here, and it's basically going to tell us, well, I need to order a bunch of raw materials in, and so I can give them some sort of a lead time. So it's basically, can I make 10,000 cases of chocolate bars with what I have on hand right now? I absolutely cannot right now because I need to order in a bunch of cocoa beans and whole milk and some packaging products. So in this example, we may get this order, we may not. Um, Kind of next level forecasting looks into the future at a forecast or orders in the system, and it's going to tell us hopefully ahead of time that we have business on the horizon that's going to be coming in based on a forecast. I need to order raw materials in order to have those on hand, and I need to produce finished goods in order to fill those orders. So basically, if I look into a system, in this example, we have a 4-week forecast. We can look out over 2 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, whatever time horizon's relevant to your business. In this example, we have a forecast for 4 different products. You can forecast your entire product line, your top 10 sellers, whatever you want that drive 90% of your business, which is usually the case in most businesses. And so based on that forecast, um, we can look at inventory and our forecast right now. And if I look at what we call our MRP, which is material resource plan, and I'm going to first look at my finished goods side and look at my basically this is what I have on hand. Here's my forecast for this product across the next 4 weeks. We've got 22,000 in stock, and our total order volume over the next month is only 2,000. So this is an example of we made too much of this due to poor planning and inventory management. We made so much of this product, it's going to take us 10 months to exhaust our entire inventory. So, um, on the bad side of inventory management, the good part of this is we're going to be able to fill any order that comes in. The bad part is I have a ton of money, and probably in this example, it's loaves of bread. So unless we're putting them in the freezer, these are going to spoil. If I look at another item here, we've got those chocolate bars that we talked about earlier. We have some of those on hand, 6,000 units, but our forecast for this week is 8,000, goes up to 4851, 2,000. Um, I can't fill the orders that are coming in now, let alone next week. What I can do is schedule production to make some of these. So in a good ERP like Wherefour, when I do things in the system, it's going to automatically recalculate my material flow. So if I schedule a work order to make 20,000 chocolate bars, this week, it's going to populate here. I'm going to be fine for this week. I'm going to be green by 18,000. That'll carry over to the next week. But then I'm still going to have to make 29,000 next week. So again, if we look at a kind of long time horizon, we have the ability to plan our production based on anticipated demand of product over a certain time horizon. The next step of this and next level planning is, well, what do I need to buy to be able to make all this stuff? So if I toggle off the finished goods side and I look at the raw material side, it's going to tell me all that. So here are all my items that are required according to my demand forecast. Again, we've got bags here over the whole time horizon. We have plenty of these. But if I scroll down to this item, and incidentally, if I have shared raw materials across a number of products that I make, it's going to aggregate that demand, which is another challenging thing in planning. In this example, I have 4,600 on hand. Luckily, I've got a purchase order that's arriving. So I've ordered from a vendor. It's going to arrive this week. So I have 16,000 at the end of this week. I'm adequately stocked. But by next week, I'm not going to have enough of these on hand to make the product that I need to make. So what this means is I need to place another order for at least 20,000 grams of cocoa beans, or I'm not going to have enough on hand to fill my finished good production demand that ultimately is going to fill my orders in the system. So this is kind of a great snapshot on what you can do with a good ERP with regard to inventory management planning. And because it's able to tie together purchasing, production, orders, all of those things under one roof instead of individually each department is having to kind of communicate again, I ordered this or I didn't order that, or hey, you need to order that. So it really cleans up the lines of communication in a company as well. So with that, I wanted to see if there are any questions that anybody has. And if there are, I'd love to field those, and then we can call it a day here. I know we're a little bit over what we intended to have. If you have any questions in the chat here. Yeah, really quick question. It was basically how do you get all this data into the system? So the front end of setting up an inventory management system is critical. You need to get all your inventory items in, both finished goods and raw materials that you use to make those. And so basically part of our process is we help you set the system up by having, here's butter. I order it in cases. I put it in my recipes in pounds. So we help you set the system up. But that work on the front end of setting an inventory management system up is absolutely critical to setting it up in the right way that allows you to utilize it properly. Okay, so that's the only question you have. I want to again thank everyone for attending. We really appreciate it. This will be available via download after if you want to view it later, and certainly reach out to us at any time if you want to set up a conversation, have an intro call, and set up a demo that would really go through points of your business that are unique to you. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great rest of the week.